Welcome everyone. Today in the Mind Culture podcast we have Valentin Alfery. I hope I don't...
Alfery.
Alfery.
Yes.
From Hungry Sharks, the upcoming superstar dance company of Austria. How are you doing?
I'm good. I was supposed to have a lot of holiday, but now I got into the cast of the new production of Staatsoper, Madame Butterfly, where I'm working as a puppeteer. And today is the last show.
So I managed to get Valentin straight from the rehearsal. He's gonna be on stage in what, like 1 hour?
No, it's 1 3/4 hours, I think. Yeah.
Cool. So thank you for your time. This is really
you're welcome.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit, because I'm really curious about Hungry Sharks. So I have many questions. But how did you come to the name Hungry Sharks? Why they are sharks and why they are hungry?
Why they are sharks and why they are hungry? Actually, in the beginning, the name was just a name that we took, so it didn't have any meaning. At the beginning, we also didn't think of a brand. It was more like that we really were eager and curious to put our visions on stage and in dance pieces and try and develop and everything. And like pretty fast, people were asking us, okay, it's nice that you want to play a piece or you will develop a piece, but what's your, like, who are you?
What's your name?
Yeah, you can't be like Valentin and Dushana and Guti and what's your name? And at first, to be honest, it was a random name. That we have a name, but over the time, of course, it became meaning. Like meaning was added. Sharks always need to stay in movement.
Okay.
And that's maybe one of the big things. So they can breathe only when they're moving. So they never.
And why are they hungry?
Why are they hungry? Because actually in the beginning we were hungry and we were, that's now totally wrong because we're still really hungry.
Uh-huh.
And maybe that's also something important, but for this I come to that later. In the beginning we were really curious to take every chance that we could get, and when you produce dance pieces, you're as an urban dancer, which is a thing that you cannot really explain to somebody, or you couldn't explain to somebody. We started in 2011. You're faced with a contemporary dance landscape that you try to enter somehow, and we were really looking for every possibility to make something happen. And
that's why hungry.
That's why hungry, and that's why I said before, in the beginning we were hungry, and that was kind of the feeling. So maybe right at the beginning there was also a feeling attached to the Hungry Sharks name. But now we're still feeling hungry to develop and to keep moving.
I always associate sharks with the business sharks, with the, like young companies that just swim there in this capitalistic market. And I was always thinking maybe Hungry Shark has something to do with that as well, like creating like a very ambitious brand that is actually a very strong brand. I'm actually honestly very impressed with how recognizable you are at this point. It's like if I talk with my friends in the Netherlands, they know Hungry Sharks already. So,
wow. Okay.
Well,
yeah, that's even new to me.
So,
I mean, we came around quite a lot, and we are really happy about all the possibilities. Of course, it's really it's a pleasure to hear that people in Netherlands know us. Hi, Netherlands.
Yes.
Bring us over to for a piece, for a gig, for a show. I think the picture of the sharks who want to build a brand that wasn't really our ambition at the first place. So, like I said, it was only like a feeling and the need of putting a name down.
And tell me, because, you know, for a young choreographer, so you say you come from the urban dance, but I think it's easy to say that you're already well integrated in the contemporary. And I'm just wondering, what would you attribute the success to? Because I would say from like, you know, from the observer's point of view, I could consider the work you do or the presence you have in this little but present contemporary dance market as a kind of successful. So I wonder, what is your recipe and what did you attribute this?
That's now a lot of questions. I try to answer it in the right order, and if I forget something, you let me know.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the big question is if we are an urban dance company, or if we are doing urban dance art, or if we are doing contemporary dance art and pieces. And like we are somewhere in between, where parts of the urban dance world where we are clearly coming from. So I think everybody of our company, or let's say the most of our company, and especially in the beginning 5 years, nobody had a dance education, an education to choreograph, to direct, or to produce. And we were like really coming from the urban dance field, doing battles, jams, exploring the dance, exploring the styles. And in the beginning, the contemporary dance world, when we were going to theaters and watching what is dance on stage nowadays. I'll wait a little bit till this motorcycle is away. Bye-bye, guy. So at the beginning, we didn't really have the tools to read contemporary dance pieces. And
but did you feel that something it was already connecting to you, something you wanted to do, like you saw the contemporary dance piece and you wanted to do like this, or you just wanted to be on stage like them?
It was more the opposite, I have to say. So we were seeing contemporary dance pieces, and I mean, the feeling that I would describe when I'm thinking back is that we were kind of offended by what we saw, and we were challenged, but in a good way. So we were thinking, okay, we have a really different idea on what stage dance or dance nowadays that is developed for nowadays stages should look like. And so we started by just going for it and diving into producing and trying and creating. And that's how we started off. And of course, since that time, because there is the small market of contemporary dance industry with festivals, companies, and so on. And there is even smaller urban dance market. So I think if you ask me now, how many urban dance festivals in the world you know, I think I could name 10 or something.
Well, that's already great. 10 is already a lot.
10, yeah. But that's kind of all there is. And then, of course, there is the contemporary dance world and an industry of festivals and houses. And when you develop pieces and you build a company, you are more into this field, and also you're watching more contemporary dance pieces, and that's our access to contemporary dance and ideas. So we're especially in the first time, really we were watching and afterwards discussing, we like that and we don't like that. And in the beginning it was a lot of we don't like that, we don't like that, we don't like that. And over the time, of course, you see the methods and principles more often and you can relate to it, and you are talking also with contemporary dancers and choreographers, and you get more and more into. And that's also something that is influencing us. But still, for the contemporary dance world, we are an urban dance company. So like I said in the beginning, we are kind of in between, seen from the outside world, but for us, we're clearly coming and doing urban dance. And especially about the work that we put on stage, we're developing urban dance choreographic principles, styles, and so on. So my first choreographies were shows for Battle of the Year, were commercial shows where they would just ask, hey, we just need a flashy breakdance show. And yeah, I mean, that was my first music cuts, my first ideas on topics of a show. And in all my development, I still have the feeling that I started there, and I'm still just contributing to this beginning and to this world. So we see us as a urban dance company.
Urban dance company.
Yes.
But you don't mind like to be in that box, because like from my experience, because I also do myself as body architects and my crew, we are like the principle that I follow is that I want to expand on the idea of movement. So of course we integrate a lot of urban dance elements or urban dance inspired mechanics deconstructed into so-called like the language of contemporary dance, but then it's often being labeled as urban dance. And then I find this a little bit wrong, because it's not what we intend to do, but it seems like there is this clear, I mean, at least I discovered this clear box that exists within the mind of curators of contemporary dance, that if there is a freeze, or if there is like a movement quality that is even one time in the piece, a little glimpse of a movement quality that is connected somehow to urban dance, then it's an urban dance piece. And I wonder if you discovered something like this, or if you don't care. I mean, you clearly say that you're urban dance company, but you know, looking from a different perspective, I'm wondering if you noticed something like this.
Yeah,
if you
of course.
notice a different treatment as well as a urban dance company in a contemporary dance world.
Yeah, of course, because all the vocabulary has also not been accessible to contemporary dance curators and all the urban dance world, and that's just like a point of time where we are now, and I think it's getting more and more, and curators are, like, let's say, slowly, it's a slow process, but they are getting the hang of what is urban dance, and they also can see if somebody just does a headstand and declares it as urban dance, or if there is a real quality and depth in the dancing and the background. But of course, like, that phenomenon didn't spread to all of the curators, because it's a big world, it's a fast changing world. I mean, the world of contemporary dance, and there are still a lot of curators and journalists that are not able to speak the language. So when a newspaper is writing about us or something, they're still writing, oh yeah, it's this dance company, they're still doing the break dance, and the popping and the freezing. So, but that's, I think, by entering the field and being a player in this big dance world, national, international, local, you can change a lot. And I'm so happy that we are not alone, that there are people from the urban dance world and from the dance world in general really focusing on getting into theater and into urban dance and bringing both together.
Yeah, I think it's really important that the movement language on stage developed as parallelly to the movement language in general, because I have the feeling that, I mean, who are our future audience, like the young people, and what are the young people watching, like Instagram and other media, and they are familiar with urban dance and they appreciate urban dance and all those different movement coordination, because I feel like a movement language has gone so far already, especially in these new styles. And I also sometimes feel that the contemporary dance, as it's taught, because it's taught at university, is always taught by people who have been doing it in the past. So it's never contemporary, it's always from the past. Even if you have the best teachers, they are from the past already. So I'm always worried that the contemporary dance is slightly behind the contemporary art in general. I mean, as it's taught, like it's or let's not say contemporary art, but like contemporary dance is behind the contemporary in a way.
Yeah.
As it's taught, but of course, as it's practiced, it's different. That's why I think it's really important to bring in those contemporary influences. Another question. So to come back, what is your recipe for success? Like, is it the great team, or is it the great idea, or is it just being in the right place, the right time? What is it?
I think it's maybe to really take serious what we are doing, and from that point, there are many little things that come along. Like when you're really serious about what you're doing, you have to ask a lot of questions, and those questions need answers. And the more you develop, the more you know. And I think at the point where we are, I think it's a funny quote that I got from my puppetry teacher. It's all of everything.
Okay.
So you cannot afford to have a bad team. You really have to think who you are working with, and you really have to be consistent in organizing and producing, in communicating. And I think there is no special recipe, but just to be serious about all of these aspects. So, for example, if we two would create a company now, first of all, we need dancers. So let's say we are the dancers because we cannot afford anybody else. And we know, of course, that we will really try hard to produce, to create a good piece. So that's the first thing. But then there is another side of this. So imagine we are now in Burggarten. We created the most perfect choreography, and then people need to know. That's the next point. So the same amount of energy and depth and thoughts that we put in our great choreography, they have to run into producing, communicating to an audience, to curators, to houses, to festivals. So you cannot afford to make a real good choreography or a real good piece, and then you have a shitty video clip of that, no trailer, and then send a crappy email. So it's all of everything means
you need to put attention.
You need to put attention on all of these things, and they have to grow together. And now it's just the big topics. When we go to our choreography that we just created, I see, for example, in urban dance, I see a lot of times that people are, like if you produce a piece, there are many, many things that you have to think of and to keep in mind. And for example, it's a classic. You have really good movement, you have really good dancers. They all can do air flare. They are genius. They win hip hop battles. They are really into it. And what's the topic? It's good against bad, or it's a battle, and then we do the up rocks that only we understand, and a broader audience maybe sees a fighting something. But so the same amount of thinking that you put into yourself for 7 years, for 10 years, for 15 years into your dance, somehow this effort has to be put or has to match the effort of choreography, of dramaturgy, of what is on stage, why is it on stage, why we suddenly lip sync James Brown. Does it fit the genius movement? No, it does not fit the genius movement. It's a goofy gag that you do in front of shows. So there are a lot of things to think of, and they somehow have to be outbalanced. So, and you cannot answer those questions seriously if you really ask them to yourself. Like, is my choreography, or is my creation, or is my, I don't know, my costumes, did I do the same effort of, like, if the wave is here or is it here for both of us? So it's balance, and it's all of everything, and it needs to grow slowly, and you need consistency, and you have to be serious for all of that.
I think it's a big mistake that a lot of people who begin are doing, maybe, or at least I can speak for myself, and I can speak for a lot of people who send their videos to craft choreography that I then watch. It's like, yeah, if the video is bad, it's over. Almost most of the time. Like, if the video recording is bad, it's over. If the lighting is super bad, it's over. If the
next things, yes, lighting.
If the costume completely doesn't make sense because you dance in socks where it's like makes no sense, it's also over. It's like there's a lot of those details that, but then if you have to be master of all, you either are a big team or you're like ultra genius. And I think not a lot of us are so genius, at least. I don't know many super geniuses. I'm sure there are people like Leonardo da Vinci that can handle all of those aspects, but in general, I think that it does come down to maybe being able to divide certain kind of works between yourself. But then I'm always wondering, okay, you're at this point of time where you can already like get money from different sources and, you know, finance the process. But I'm always kind of thinking that it's not about the money. And this is my question to you, because, okay, you can say that, okay, work is for money, but I feel that if you need to grow, you need to be able to give extra effort than the money can ever provide at this point. So I'm wondering, how do you deal with this, and how do you expect this from other people? Do you expect this from other people? How is the relationship? Because for me, I always struggle. Like, I'm always trying to get in the people to work together, but in the end, you know, the prosaic life wins, and like the you know, it's hard to commit to the higher goal if you don't see the clear direction. And I'm wondering, maybe not now, because now you have the clear direction already, but I'm wondering how maybe it was at the beginning or earlier.
Also, a lot of questions there. Remind me if I don't answer one of those, and I try to get back to it. I think that that your passion for what you're doing, that brings you to the point to be really serious about it. you have to really always somehow recheck and reflect if it's still there. And of course it gets harder not to keep the passion, but to maintain a good artistic level, because you always develop, you always are in movement, and you have to really see the point where you put an application just because you know you will get the money. And for us, the only way was to avoid that point. So in our past times, we had times where we know, okay, the deadline is now, we know we would get a funding for a project. But if we were not 100% sure to be really passionate about what we want to create, we didn't do it. And that was always the right choice. And there is the big thing of maybe you get out of the circle of being funded and producing. For us, it didn't happen so far. But if you produce a piece just because you know you get the money, people will see this intention in the piece. They will see that there is a piece of art that was produced just because there was the money. And that's why I really like all those videos that you mentioned in the beginning of your question. I really enjoy looking at all of those, especially from the urban dance corner, because it's somehow we as a community are not established in the dance industry so much. So you have a lot of people who just pick up the passion, get infected, and they really want to do something, and they really don't care about anything. And I like this energy a lot. It's also, you can see it in a basic form, if you have a group of school kids doing a theater piece, and then they put on the most amazing costumes, and they say their lines, and they do it with a lot of passion. And I enjoy to see that passion, not maybe in a piece. Of course, there it's also really nice to see if people are passionate and they don't give a fuck about any forms or anything. But also in the process, in doing it. When, like you said, you get a lot of videos, and I know a lot of people, and we know a lot of people who say, yeah, I want to do a piece. And they just go for it. And they mix together the most crazy music, and it's maybe unbearable, but theirs with so much passion. And I think that's really key. It's like graffiti. Somehow, like when you're into it, you're able to see when somebody who just begins makes a tag, and you see somehow, when you look at this tag, you not only see the tries and the effort that he made, but you see also that it's a really non-exposed place, and he came at 4 in the night, or she came at 4 in the night, really afraid and scared for 2 hours, then quickly do this tag, running away, hiding at home. For me, it was a bit like this. And you can see that. You can see the effort and the passion. And that's the key point. That's the key point. And I think everybody knows how this feels. And when this feeling gets away, everything else gets in your way of doing good art. And doing good art consistently, I think it's even more. It's like it's even more hard. It's like I don't know. Now we have team winning tennis. Okay. From now on, like, he is expected to be really good, and that's hard. To come as a nobody and put on a good dance piece. Let's come back to dance field. That happens sometimes, and I think it's about the things that really started you moving, and you have to keep them, and you have to protect them even more than money, and even more than the accessibility of rooms, and the possibility to, when you produce a piece, like before it's finished, you can play it in 10 theaters. You already know that. Or you have the most amazing dancers, and you did 2 good pieces, and now you have the most amazing dancers. This is not a piece. It's not a piece. Money is not a piece, and that's what's really hard. And when it grows slowly, you have a chance to get it.
Yeah, I find this very fascinating. I think there is something that I see, because I always had it, but I also met a lot. You say everyone knows the feeling. I don't think everyone knows the feeling. I've met a lot of people on my way that know about the feeling, but they maybe are not so driven, because I think you're talking about certain kind of drive that pushes you to do it, no matter what, to give this extra effort. It's almost like a mission, I feel, at least for myself. And what I wanted to say is that it's also very unique to street dance, because for street dance you have like almost no reward for whatever level you get into. So you can be at a super great level, but you have no reward. So primarily, and if you grow out of the teenager age, then you have no reward of the other kind, which is like the respect of your peers and the girls or the other sex. So this is all gone. At a certain age, this is all gone. So you just have the pure passion to dance. And I think this is that's why I love to, for example, for myself to practice breaking, because like I can push myself through like tremendous strength, but I know there will not be a reward. There will not be like any gain, you know, it will not contribute to my artistic practice almost at all, or at least not at all, you know, relatable to the amount of effort that I put in. But somehow, you know, this drive, I think that to practice this drive, or to feel this drive, to be in touch with this drive, I think the urban dance gives it. And I think I love this, and maybe that's why you're talking about this as well, because I feel,
I mean, of course I know that there is other feelings and other drives to produce dance pieces. I mean, that's just our drive, I have to say. And you're absolutely right. It's the same drive that you have when you dance, when you break. For me, especially when I break. And I think the reward is like in this very moment, and that's the great thing.
Yeah.
When you move in this way, it's an incredible feeling, and you don't. I think like when I for example practice, we met each other in the VUC last time. I just need that. I don't need any reward. So that's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, great that there is nowadays there is a way to translate it into actually stage pieces, because, you know, I feel at least you are doing, or we are doing, certain kind of translation of this drive, or we're sharing this drive with the audience, and I feel that this is very beautiful and very necessary, because often like the contemporary dance pieces can be very detached. When I go to see, like, it's almost like I'm watching it through like a thick glass wall, but I feel like if there comes someone with an energy on stage, it already resonates, even if it's bad, even if it's like horrible idea. But if the feeling is nice, if the energy is there, it's already something that you go for to see, to experience the live performance. And I think it's so important to remember this, especially nowadays in the pandemic, where it's not allowed in many countries to watch live performances. I think live performances can give you so much, And I think it's really important to do this kind of work.
Yes.
Well, I know that you have to run to the Staatsoper. Thank you for this little time.
Thank you for schedule me in, for obeying to my schedule. I thank you a lot, and I'm looking forward to more to come.
So Valentin's young company, Young Sharks, is gonna have a new production soon.
Yes. So there is two things that are coming up. Shout out. Festival Pelzverkehr in Klagenfurt. It's starting at 16th of September, and I don't know the date exactly, but look it up. Pelzverkehr, really easy to remember. It's a great festival, and we are screening our underwater dance production Zeitgeist. Of course, we would love to perform it, but there are rare occasions where we can do that. So it's a screening which is also really nice. And the second thing is we are recreating Hidden in Plain Sight with the Young Sharks, and it will be on 21 and 22 of October in the Szene Salzburg.
Super.
See you there.